Am I now live?
Hey, Marie and Lauren, I am getting goosebumps over here. This is an exciting moment. When I was sitting in the vehicle, when we retracted everything, when all the prop was getting loaded up, I was just going through my crew notebook. I was thinking about, what my first step would be if there was a malfunction, because usually everything goes nominally when you fly to space, but you have to think about the things that you have to take care of, the first steps you have to take care of. And on my mission, I was calling out the abort calls, like if we had lost an engine, where would we go next, when the different abort calls around the country and around the world. So I think that's what those guys are probably thinking about now, and just really getting ready for this mission to go off.
G'day, Waxman.
Absolutely, and we're just now about 20 seconds from when we expect propellant loading to start. Again, that's fueling of the rocket.
All right, we're getting close.
Sorry, just doing some housekeeping.
Any second now.
35 minutes left.
So let's listen in.
Where are the peeps?
Propellant load has started.
Propellant load has started.
Fantastic. So prop load has started. We've started loading liquid oxygen on stage 1 and stage 2.
Sorry, I'm just
liquid oxygen and
again,
RP1, which is our rocket grade kerosene. So now that we are 34 minutes and 42 seconds away from the first launch of astronauts into orbit from American soil since 2011, we know that the launch escape system is armed, which happened just before fueling. Dragon prop load happened weeks ago, actually just a few miles down the road at what we call Dragonland. And those propellants, which are MMH, or monomethylhydrazine, that's our fuel, and NTO, or nitrogen tetroxide, that's our oxidizer. Those not only feed the Draco engines that propel Dragon on orbit, but they also supply those 8 Super Draco engines of the launch escape system. So I have one right here, a little model. Oh, doesn't come off the stand.
Don't break it, Lauren.
Hey, everyone.
It's very nice.
Thanks for joining me.
As you can see,
lift off in 35 minutes.
And each quad has 2
Crew Dragon.
of the Super Draco engines for a total of 8.
How's the audio? Can you hear the stream? Too loud, too soft, just
MMH,
right?
And NTO is their oxidizer.
Let me know.
Now, most abort systems from
stop this live feed and watch it on my own.
I believe like Soyuz, Mercury, Apollo, they all had
I don't know why anyone's joining me instead of watching it live on their own.
Rocket engine or series of rocket engines on top, and if they weren't used, that escape tower would have to jettison itself from the vehicle. If it was used, it would be used to lift the vehicle off of the rocket. Well, Dragon is a little bit different in that its escape system is actually integrated into the vehicle, and that's great for a couple of reasons. One less thing you have to jettison on a nominal flight.
Oh, you have it on the big screen. Oh, okay, sorry. Would people like me to?
Hopefully they never have to be.
I don't know if people want me to turn it.
The other thing that offers
I want it on the recording though.
I've
got to listen.
Pad all the way to orbit.
Oh, I can turn it off.
Because if you jettisoned your escape system prior to that, you couldn't. So yeah. That's a little Dragon there.
No one knows why I bothered to start this stream.
Thanks for walking us through that, Lauren.
I'm here watching it.
The launch escape system is armed. That protects Bob and Doug so that if something were to go wrong,
I'm a YouTuber. That's what I do.
Away from the rocket.
Yeah, I don't know why anyone's joining me.
That is such a crucial safety capability. And so now we want to go over
oh
to
boy,
Hawthorne
are they going to be surprised when they see the Earth is actually flat?
Thanks, Marie.
I'll pay that.
We are counting down those final minutes. Everything is still looking good
on
the Falcon 9 and the Dragon
32. They got their checklist. Is that their checklist iPad?
Weather is trending the wrong way.
Or is that real paper?
We're keeping our ears open in case we hear that the weather is going to be no.
Because they got the big touch screens up there. I don't know why they need
now, we are counting down at T-minus 32 minutes.
Does anyone know?
Falcon 9 did begin propellant load at T-minus 35 minutes, right on time. The propellants we use on Falcon 9 are a fuel, which is kerosene, also called RP1, refined petroleum. We use an oxidizer, and that's the super chilled liquid oxygen,
there we go.
or LOX as we call it. Those two propellants come together, but they don't light, so we need an ignition source to complete the fire triangle. For this, Falcon 9 uses a fluid called T-tub. You might see that just before first stage ignition, or maybe later in the second stage ignition. You get a green colored flame as the T-tub comes out into the oxygen, and that ignites the main engines right before the rocket takes off or the second stage engine lights. Now currently in the fueling, RP1 fuel is about 10% full on the first stage. That's the bottom 2/3 of the stack of the vehicle you can see on the left. The first stage is that long white cylinder at the bottom, plus that black cylinder called the inner stage. That's the entire first stage that we're loading with LOX and RP1 kerosene. That's the part that comes back to Earth.
Good old kerosene.
The second stage just above it, the white cylinder, and then above that will be the Dragon trunk and the capsule. Now currently, the second stage is also loading fuel with RP1. That's about 8% full right now.
8%.
We are loading liquid oxygen on the first stage. The second stage liquid oxygen load will begin at T-minus 16.5 minutes if the weather cooperates. So LOX loading will then continue on both the first and second stage until the last few minutes of the countdown. Helium loading is also underway into pressure vessels on the first, second stage. We use that to pressurize the tanks in flight as the propellant is being pulled out by the Merlin turbopumps. Dragon on board the spacecraft. You can see the astronauts are monitoring systems while propellant is loaded into the Falcon 9. Now when we flew the first demo flight last year and then the in-flight escape test earlier this year, the sounds inside the Dragon capsule were recorded. So as part of the training, the sounds of the propellant loading were played back to acclimate the crew to what they're experiencing now. I'm stopping, I'm listening to some discussion on one of the back nets, trying to track where we are with the weather criteria.
Might have had audio mix there.
We're just passing another weather gate right now.
Yeah, 2 times,
trying to see
sorry.
whether or not the conditions are go.
Killed it.
In certain situations, when the weather is no-go, you have to wait 30 minutes, and we are now inside of 30 minutes.
Looks overcast.
If the cloud moves away, if the conditions improve,
or is that just the
we may be able to continue the countdown for another 14 minutes and reassess. So we're waiting to see.
I might go back down to Canberra, check out the upgrades. Yeah.
Currently we are. The range, they're ready to support with no problems.
Don't pray for the astronauts. It's not going to help.
Area. But again, the weather, that's the one that's looking bad.
If you are going to pray that the engineers did a good job.
As a reminder, today we have an instantaneous launch time.
Not that it helps.
So at this point, if we hear a hold for any reason, we're going to have to stand down and target our backup launch opportunity on May 30th.
For Demo 2, Bob and Doug's flight to station will
I hate
take
having to
about
look at both
19
screens
hours, and their journey is
chat.
fairly similar to the
And
trip
the,
our cargo Dragon makes back and forth
just
to the
look over here.
International Space Station, with 2 noticeable differences: docking and splashdown.
As we await T-minus 0 and just a little over 28
There's
minutes
liftoff counter
from
there,
now,
DEFCON?
ground operations teams just doing those final
28 minutes.
series of system checks, making sure both Dragon and Falcon 9 are ready for liftoff, and really keeping an eye on that weather.
T-minus 28.
To get live views of the teams.
It's pretty awesome looking. The Dragon capsule is pretty awesome looking. Got to admit.
On the right is
it's and just the aesthetics. Did you see before of the tunnel going out to the
Falcon 9 and Dragon with their ascent until Falcon 9 and
actually going out to the rocket? You know how the tunnel arm.
Don't
know. It's the arm or whatever. That they walk through, even that looks, you know, so futuristic. It looks great. That was a nice, you know, it's a nice touch.
They're going to gradually
it's just not the old, you know, metal gangway kind of
space station.
thing.
You're seeing some of that track in the animation on your screen right now. After doing enough of those burns, they'll put Dragon. Oh, sounds like we're going to get a weather update real quick.
Weather update.
Go ahead, Spacer.
Bloody weather.
Yeah, we're currently just evaluating a constraint on the field mill rule, which looks at lightning energy dissipation. We expect to have an update at about T-minus 20, and more information there on whether we would be able to continue into the prop load or
just in
scrub
case they
at
get
that
struck.
time.
Is there a storm there? Surely they'd know that.
Okay,
maybe
Dave,
that's
thanks for the update. We appreciate it.
Maybe there is.
Copy. So I'll give you some more words in about 6 minutes.
Okay, so it sounds like we're going to find out in about 6 minutes if we're going to have enough time. And John, I was referring to a couple of those weather
Hope they don't scrub it.
situations where we
I
have
got
to
up
have
at
a
5:30 to watch this.
time. In this case, with the field mills, about 15 minutes. So they have until about 16 minutes and 30 seconds to really make sure that we're going to have enough time for
that to actually
so we're going to be listening
standing
for that
outside, only a few miles from the launch site.
It is going to be a pretty
Watching from your
interesting
front
trip
yard,
uphill for them
awesome.
once they actually
I've
get on
never
orbit.
seen a rocket launch. I've always
And a
wanted
very
to.
exciting countdown with 6 minutes to figure
I
out
wanted to
if
see
we
a shuttle
are
launch,
launching today.
but timing wasn't right
Targeting back to
when I've
what
been
we
over
were
there.
talking about. Next, Dragon will make its approach and actually dock with the space station. This is a
Yeah,
very
I'm curious
different
about the
process from
protection
what
against
we've
lightning
seen
as
with
well.
Dragon cargo deliveries
It's
in the
like
past, which used a process
You either
called
are or
berthing.
you aren't
Now, berthing requires
susceptible
a
to
spacecraft to
lightning.
approach the station
I
and then
don't.
stop so a crew member can maneuver the station's robotic arm to capture the spacecraft.
I'm not
Docking
sure
on
what the
this
deal
version
is.
of Dragon can be done autonomously.
Stage 2 cryo-helium load started.
Autonomously with no crew aboard the station. It's typically a faster process, both when arriving and leaving, but it does still require pinpoint accuracy to approach safely.
Once captured, a spacecraft then gets attached to a common berthing mechanism. It's the same type of port that we use to connect each of the modules
You've
together
been at
on
work
board
since
station.
5:30,
It's a little bit
Dev.
slower
Poor
process than
bastard.
docking, but the hatches are significantly larger
Yeah,
than docking
I had
ports,
to come to the
which makes them
lab.
perfect for bringing up large cargo items.
The
Dragon
wife
will
said, yeah,
spend
bugger
up
off. If you're
to
going to watch this thing at
120 days
5:30,
docked
bugger
before
off.
preparing to return home.
But then I've got to go
Following
home
the
at
successful
7:30
completion of Dragon's
then
test
take the kids to
objectives
school.
and cargo
So,
loading operations,
yeah.
the crew will close out the cabin, perform final system checks, and configure the vehicle for undocking. Once the automated undocking sequence is complete, Dragon will complete
don't talk
two
about that.
departure
We don't
burns
care about
using its
later.
Draco engines, pushing it away
Give
from
us,
the space
give us
station.
info about.
And then after Dragon departs
Now.
the station, it's ready for its trip home. And that'll have deorbit entry and landing and a number of other
come
operations.
on.
If you're looking
No.
at this animation, it might look like we're playing the one we played originally in reverse, because that's kind of how it goes, but just a little bit quicker.
It's fake.
All
Busted.
of the operations following the final departure maneuver will include things like trunk separation, closing that nose cone again.
So there's two
executing a
seats up
deorbit
front, is
burn,
there?
and once
In
they're
the
inside
Dragon,
atmosphere,
and there's
deploying
what, 3
drogue and then
behind?
main
Is there,
parachutes,
or
then
more than
finally
that? Doesn't it
splashing
seat
down
7?
off the floor
How many
of the
was
coast,
Crew
at which
Dragon?
teams will move in, get Bob and Doug up out of the water, and get them out of the capsule once they're on the boat.
How many
So,
does it seat?
we have
'Cause it
4
looks like there's
minutes
only
now
2 in
until we
front.
get that next expected weather update. Let's go down now to the team at
The
Kennedy.
good thing is
Marie?
that no one does
All right, thanks, Dan. If you're just joining us, we are now
Video.
T-minus 23 minutes and
Better than
48
SpaceX.
seconds from the first launch of astronauts to the International Space Station from U.S. soil in 9 years. We're going to find out in less
9
than 4
years.
minutes if the
Wow.
weather looks good for that. And this will mark the beginning
Doesn't seem
of a
that
new
long
era
ago.
where more people will be able to fly to space than ever before. In fact, we took a poll a little bit earlier to ask you
there we
if
go.
you had the opportunity to fly to space, would you go? And 86% of those of you watching answered that you would go to space.
That's an incredible number. I think, realizing that you don't have to be a military astronaut
86%
or a
would.
NASA astronaut to fly in space. You can
I need
be
a
a
drink.
regular civil, just a regular person going off to space on a SpaceX type rocket. So I think that's why the numbers are so high.
Yeah, and we are really thrilled to see all the folks watching along online. I know we certainly hope that that this is a go, but we're going to hear a little bit of a weather update in less than 3 minutes now. And Leland, I know they're waiting for a weather update, and they've come, almost
Come
all
on,
the way
weather
down the
update.
count. What do you think Bob and Doug are thinking
cloudy.
about right now?
We on 120 SES 129, we were
So-
having some weather problems.
so what happens
and
with
I think
the,
we were getting close to the
ad?
countdown, and then it seemed like the sky just cleared up right above our heads. We saw it, and we knew we were going. And we always know that you can have any types of delays, fuel prop delays, all kinds of things that can happen. But we've trained over and over and over again for these types of
right click to
scenarios.
view
And so,
instructions.
we want to be safe. We want to be safe for our families, and we'll do this another day if it doesn't work with the weather.
I love that John I always says weather. It's that thing that everybody talks about, but no one can do anything about it.
I know.
And it is this interesting thing of just, succumbing to Mother
I
Earth.
can
She's
draw
going
on
to tell
the
us if we can
screen.
go or not today.
Playing with
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Well, if it happens, I mean, look at it this way. Bob and Doug got one really great rehearsal in, right?
It's always best to practice and practice and practice. Yes.
What are they? Are they
So
contemplating
again,
them
we're less
not
than
making
2
it?
minutes now from
I
that
missed
weather
What
update
the
that
hell?
is going to go directly to Bob and Doug, and we will quiet down so we can listen in for that, because I know we can't wait to find out what
Yeah,
that is. And
shut up.
Those of you
Let the crew
watching
talk.
that have been following along, we are eagerly awaiting to hear
changed my colour.
whether the weather is going to be a showstopper today.
Whoa. Sorry, killed it. Okay, I'll ditch that.
These clouds can seem really deceiving at times, right? You see the blue skies peeking through and you think everything's fine, but you just don't know. That's why we have those launch weather
Yeah,
officers.
does this
Absolutely, and I know
this
you know,
little
we've talked
when does
about it
this
before,
little
but it's not just the weather in Florida. that
little
they're looking
it's
at.
a
They've
large
gotta look at
connector. When does this
weather
large
downrange,
connector
if they were to have
pop
an
out?
abort,
Does it like
in
and
flight
how
and
does
they
it
needed to
pop
come
out
down
as the
somewhere
rocket
in
goes
the
up? Does it
ocean,
just like fall out?
They need to consider
What
what
happens?
the
Does
weather's
anyone
like
know?
out there, because
Has anyone seen that
recovery
up
teams
close?
have to go out and get them in a situation like
I
that.
assume
so
that the
there's
previous
so many variables,
tests they did
and that's why.
with the-
not
with
just
the dummies
with
was
this
all
flight, but, you know,
fully-
with every human space flight we've had in the past, there's always a very good
can't
chance
remember.
of a scrub because you do have so
Someone
much
set up their
criteria
little camera there, have they?
that you have to meet.
I'll sneak in with my little camera.
And we're going to listen in now. We're just seconds away from a weather update.
Stage 2, RP1 load complete.
Stage 2, RP1 fuel complete. Awesome. I love how they're still black and white. You know, you know, like one half black, one half white, so that they
That
can
is
see
liquid
the roll
oxygen you see venting off
on
the
the-
rocket. That's completely normal and expected.
on the footage.
We're standing by for a weather update.
Unless you can give us another 10 minutes, I don't think we're going to get there with any of the rules today.
Oh,
I'm gonna give you
no.
10 minutes.
I mean, another 10 minutes past T0.
Oh, can't do that,
1640,
Mike.
1645 local. I think we'll probably be clear on all the rules, but
That's far.
not quite going to make it for this.
It's not going to make
Okay.
it.
We're going to check back in with you in about 2 minutes, and then I'll call it up at about T-minus 17 minutes.
It's not an official
Okay.
scrub, but
Yeah, there's some of them are starting to count down, but we still have one above 2,000. So if that gets below,
they've cut the feed. They've cut the feed. Did they cut it deliberately? Did they want to
And that
chat?
didn't sound great right there. That was
privately?
the weather net going out, but we're still standing by for a final decision.
Sounds like they made up their mind. I don't think no one's going to hang their balls on the line to say go when the weather dude's saying, nah, give me another 10 minutes. And are they that critical on the launch window, are they? Are they that critical like that? They can't wait 10 minutes. Really? Scrubbed, is it? Yeah, it sounds like it's scrubbed. Well, that sucks balls.
And we're going to continue to listen in for an update, but in the meantime, we're going to go over to John Innsbrucker at SpaceX headquarters in California. John?
Take it
And
to
Dragon
John.
SpaceX on weather. We're still
they're
not
T-minus
happy.
18
good
minutes
currently.
and counting.
LD is
We are still
having
red
some
on weather.
discussions. Expect an update from LD.
We're waiting in about
in a
another
few
minute
minutes.
for one final check with weather. We're going to check at
Okay,
T-minus
great, and
17
copy.
minutes possibly. We don't really expect that things will have improved. The weather officer was not optimistic that the weather would clear up that rapidly. We did hear the launch director, Mike Taylor, joke that, you know, if we could move 10 more minutes past the T0, weather conditions
Oh, that
may
was the
improve,
flight director.
but Mike was not able to do that. We have
Saying
an
that.
instantaneous window today.
Well,
So at 17 minutes,
he's the
we
one who
wanna
makes the
make that
call.
call because shortly after that, we will begin loading liquid oxygen onto the second stage. So if we're not going to have the opportunity to launch, if
Launch
the clock's
director
going
and
to run
countdown
out,
net.
stand
We
by.
continue to violate a couple different weather rules that we now do not expect to clear in time to allow for a launch today. We go ahead
Yep.
and end today's launch attempt. Launch control would end the launch auto sequence and proceed into the launch abort auto sequence, please.
Yep.
Launch
Scrubbed.
abort has started.
Launch aborted. Does that mean they drain out all the fuel?
And Dragon SpaceX, unfortunately, we are not going to
Damn.
launch today. You are go for 5.100 launch scrub.
5.100. That's on the checklist.
5100,
Launch scrub.
That was a good effort by the teams, and we understand, and we'll meet you there.
Copy all.
We've heard the call from the crew. They
can
have
see the
been
frowny
informed.
face.
Launch director
See the frowny
Mike Taylor,
face.
has called
Not
a
happy.
scrub for the day. And we got the feedback when the Dragon team informed Bob
When's the
Doug.
next launch window? Does anyone know?
We gave it a good try, but they understand. And we are here to try another day. So now
do
we
they
did,
initiate that?
Officially hold the clock. It looks like at T-minus 16 minutes, 54 seconds. The launch automatic sequence that controls the Falcon 9, the loading of propellants, the cycling of valves, that is also stopped. We now proceed into what is a normal scrub sequence for us. We practice this every launch. So now we move into safely taking the propellants, the pressurization gases back off the first and second stages. As things get into a safe configuration, then we will disarm the escape system on Dragon, and we'll bring the crew access arm back around the spacecraft. So right now, we got down to just inside 17 minutes. The hardware was working very well on both Dragon and spacecraft. We had the fuel loading going on. We had liquid oxygen loading going on, everything but second stage. And the weather just needed a little bit more time to clear the conditions. We didn't have that time because we had an
Those guys are ballsy,
window.
by the way.
And so with that, SpaceX launch director had to call upon the input from weather.
Dragon, copies
had to
all, about
call
30
a
minutes.
scrub
Thank
for
you,
the
bye.
day per the safety rules that we have for this flight.
All right.
So right now the team is undergoing the
isn't it a couple of days for a relaunch? May 30.
Dragon, as well as Falcon 9, working with the range. No issues being reported right now as we start to go through that sequence.
I don't know how long they've been sitting on rocket. It's a long time.
And
hours, many hours.
We had a good webcast going here until the very end. So we'll look at it as now we've had another great dry rehearsal. Last Saturday we did a dry one, I should say, and today we've done a wet dress rehearsal. But sorry, we just couldn't get there, Dan.
I don't know if it's a lot stricter. I'm surprised the window's that tight. Why couldn't they wait another 10 minutes?
Hoping we could just squeeze in between those cloud systems to get a launch today, but it wasn't to be. But it doesn't mean we're done. We're going to have another attempt coming up in just 3 days, so we're going to be doing this all over again, essentially on Saturday, on the 30th.
Nice
and
beard.
That launch attempt is going to be coming at 3:22 p.m. Eastern time, so a little bit earlier in the day. It's going to look largely
earlier
the same
in the day.
to everything that we saw today.
Get up earlier.
With the crew waking up, going through suit up, making their way to the pad. So we're gonna feel a lot of deja vu, I think, on Saturday.
Yep. But still exciting. Safety is always first. So if weather was not there for us today, hopefully Saturday it will be there for us, and we will have a safe launch on Saturday.
Yeah, the initial weather report
She's not the
still
best.
had us at about, I think, a 40%
She's not the best
possibility of violation. So weather a little bit better, but
like the
we're
dude,
still
though.
going to be kind of rolling the dice. It is Florida in the spring and
She
summer,
seems a bit
so
nervous.
storms are always
It's the
a
first launch.
One of the good things, though, the vehicle appeared to be in great health throughout the day, both Dragon and Falcon 9, so we didn't have to scrub for any technical issue. We're going to continue and follow along with Bob and Doug until they're out of that capsule.
That's the thing I like about SpaceX. SpaceX have good commentary and good
so they'll have to wait until
live
all
feeds
that fuel comes off.
and
They'll
stuff.
disarm the launch escape system, which still stays armed because they're still sitting on a partially loaded rocket. And then once they're able to disarm that launch escape system, the crew arm will swing back out. They'll make their way once again back the way they came,
right,
and
so
then they'll be back to crew quarters for Bob and Doug for a few more days.
Defuel it first, and then they swing the arm back in. Yeah, back to work. Yep, they cancelled it. She's already known, is she? Okay,
but if you're
haven't
just
seen
now
her
tuning in, wondering why
I haven't
not
watched
still
many
counting
lately.
down, we did
It's
have
almost
a
routine,
launch scrub today. We were just a little under
Stage 1
17
LOX
minutes.
and fuel flow rates are nominal for offload. Expecting about a 40-minute offload time.
she's a bit boring. Sure, she knows the stuff, but it just doesn't seem,
LOX,
you know.
the liquid oxygen fuel.
I don't think she's up to the regular SpaceX standard of commentary.
Expecting about 40 minutes for all
she didn't
that
look
fuel
like
to come
she
off.
didn't
So
sound
again,
like
once
she
that
could,
fuel comes off,
ad lib well.
Bob and Doug will be able to disarm the launch escape system, and that crew access arm will swing back out. They'll be able to make their way back down, and then
because
over
not
to
everyone
crew
can do
quarters.
that. It's quite an art, you know, to be able to
scrub today because of weather.
commentate
That was the one
live
thing we were
and just
tracking
keep
from
talking
the moment
when
we started
things
today,
go
watching
wrong
Bob and
or
Doug
get
suited
boring
up
or
for their launch.
you know, it's
we did
it really is
abort
quite a skill.
Today's launch or scrub today's launch.
Very few
with
people can
a
do
little
it.
under 17 minutes to go. go until our T0 time, which was 4:33. So that's going to move us to our next attempt, which is coming up on Saturday, and that time is going to be 3:22 p.m.
Florida
Eastern
weather.
time, so a little bit earlier
quite changeable.
in the day.
Sounds
for
like
Bob and
Melbourne.
and for everybody else watching around the world. They're still going to have a 19-hour flight to station if that's when we launch.
Don't know if she's
and
an
a
introvert.
lot of the stuff that we saw today is going to look very similar, but we're just going to have to try again. Cross our fingers, hope for a little bit better weather.
10, 20 seconds, but you know, it's the vibe.
And again, this goes with every launch. We do track everything all the way down to T0 to make sure that everything is go, making sure that the range is go, weather is go. So this is standard procedure. We always tend to make sure that we have a backup day, launch day, in case we do have scrubs like today.
Is to put engineers on.
So this is pretty normal,
she might be,
standard.
She's
Nothing
an engineer.
to be worried about.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Again, we do this for the safety of our vehicles as well as today.
She just didn't seem the
astronauts on our vehicle.
Type I've usually seen on SpaceX.
Even bigger reason for us to make sure that we have safe weather for them to fly.
And just a reminder for everyone still tuned in, it takes about 40 minutes for all of this propellant to come off of the Falcon 9.
Thunderbirds aren't go today.
It is offloading that launch escape system on Dragon, which is designed to pull the capsule away. If
you've got to know your shit to be a presenter.
That is still
you've got to,
so we're going to continue to stay with this.
You've got to know your
until
stuff.
all the propellant's off, and then we'll see the launch escape system get disarmed.
Me forever to learn the
able
intricacies
to open
of
up their visors again. The launch.
I'm an R too much.
Crew access arm will swing back out.
Not that great
and link
live.
up with Dragon, and they'll make their way off and then down the tower at the pad. But if you're just now tuning in, no launch today. We did have to scrub because of weather. We're going to be moving to our second attempt on Saturday.
No, she wasn't that bad.
It's just
earlier
in the afternoon.
Just immediately struck me like it was just the vibe of it. It was like she sort of
or as expected so far.
Deer in headlights for a second.
And then once all the propellants off, we should see Bob and Doug make their way out of Dragon.
She didn't seem to be able to ad-lib it. Yeah, I mean the SpaceX host's always been great. She'll be right good enough for the Australian space program. Damn right.
And what you're seeing on your screen is a live view of Bob and Doug on the right side.
Read your name.
Of Dragon as they're waiting for
Jacob
propellant to be removed from the vehicle so that it is safe for them to disarm the launch escape system.
I do not look
back. This will take a bit of time, so we are going to stay live with you to watch this as they exit the vehicle eventually.
Yeah, everyone would be bummed.
And come down from standing down on launch today.
What's he?
Up until the point of the scrub,
What's
we had
with
a really
the fingers?
clean countdown.
Is that the cursor? Is that their cursor?
Falcon 9 or the Dragon spacecraft? So,
or is he just
always a good thing to see. Bored. We did have to scrub because of that weather. To be a little bit more specific, we were still in violation of one of the weather criteria. It was the strength of electric fields in the atmosphere.
Is that
the 45th Spaceway
it has a fairly deliberate channel in there
around the launch pad.
And
that's one of those rules where we need a certain amount of
tapping.
time.
Is that a mouse tap?
We're in a violation in this case.
Nominal, roughly 50% on stage 1 locks in, fuel 85% on stage 2 fuel.
So the propellant offload on Falcon 9.
It's a handheld, and he's bored. Been doing it for hours, okay? Because I thought they were touch screens, and here he is like doing this.
And since we do have an instantaneous launch window today,
I thought it was some weird ass mouse control system.
We hope for better weather coming up on Saturday, where again our next launch attempt is going to be at 3:22 p.m. Eastern time.
And
we'll be able to go through everything. I mean, we saw them get suited up. They had a great ride out to the pad. All of their initial checks on both the suits with pressure checks and communication checks.
Well, that sucks. Scrubbed. Unbelievable. Yeah, I got up at, what is it now? It's 6:30.
Just not able to make a good weather window.
Got to be out of here about 20 past. Got to be back home about 7:30 a.m. That is.
Great rehearsal today.
Got to take the kids to school.
Enough practice doing this, so when Saturday comes, or when the day that we can actually,
which sucks because they got new social distancing bullshit rules for dropping kids off at school, and it's just It's
with
creating
just an extra
traffic
rehearsal on the belt
chaos.
now.
It's just, you got to stay in your car,
As
and
we
you got
talked
to.
a couple of times throughout our countdown,
Yep, you can't
the weather
park and
is
then,
a lot more complex when
you've
we're
all
launching
got to.
humans. You have some more
The lines are
stringent,
just insane.
requirements in place, not only around the
Like
pad,
lines
but, in
go
the case
on the
of
first day.
this launch
Lines
today, we're
went
also
for
looking at
like
whether
a
the
kilometer
entire
or
ascent
a
corridor,
couple of
as we call it,
kilometers
the
down the
basically
road,
entire
like the main
way
road.
that they were
It was
flying
just.
up the east coast of the United States in this launch
I
today.
think the school were
monitoring
told,
that weather because
find
those
a
are
better
areas that if
solution.
they have an ascent
You're
aboard
blocking the
or
public
basically
roads.
Dragon firing off of the Falcon 9
So
while
they-
they're flying into
so we
space.
snake through
we
the
have to make
school
sure
now.
the conditions are good in the sea states
crazy.
around those areas, just so they're not going to be landing in the middle of a hurricane, which we did have a tropical storm forming right off the coast of South Carolina today, just to help complicate things a little bit.
And people might be asking, if we knew the weather was going to be a little iffy today, why continue to count down?
well,
that is
gotta have a
the
go.
reason why we do all these checks all the way to countdown. In Florida, the weather is, pretty sporadic. Sometimes a thunderstorm or hurricane will pass through. Within 20 minutes, it's gone, and we could have clear skies.
Just a random
for
thunderstorm
a safe
or
launch.
hurricane.
So. We continued as scheduled.
Seriously?
Standard procedure again, to just continuing to.
I mean, how
continue
much
to
money is
monitor
this costing
weather
them?
all the way down to the last minutes.
I reckon light that candle.
And we see what
I
happens.
bet
So
you the
today,
guys in there
unfortunately, we
are
did
going
scrub
light
for
this
weather,
candle.
but we will
light this candle. You
attempt
bastard.
again
You know,
this
turning their
Saturday
Vox
on
switch
May
off.
30th.
I don't think that they would care. The crew wouldn't care.
Dan, Jesse,
I don't think
a couple
they'd
of
care.
things to add on
Just
there.
go.
Right now we are 11 minutes after the scrub was called. Liquid oxygen and fuel are coming off of the first
Oh, we're not
stage.
launching America.
Hard to tell from the view. It's still a little misty around the tank because there's lots
I
on
reckon the
board.
Russians
But
would have
we're,
launched.
between half
Russians
and
would
a
have
third
launched.
of each of the fuel and LOX tanks filled on the first stage. So propellant coming out right per plan. The second stage fuel tank is offloading. That's going slower, but it's also a smaller tank. It doesn't take very long to either load it or to offload it. The other thing that we're working on is the high-pressure helium spheres, as well as the nitrogen spheres for the landing leg system. The pressure will be brought down on those, eventually getting it down low enough to where people can re-enter the pad area. So right now, the team is preparing.
Stefan thinks it's a touch bar.
Permission, the SpaceX Egress technician team.
Yeah, the suits look cool.
Inside
I agree. It almost looks like they aren't real.
Like
Like
their way up when
almost looks like there's no way that could be
a
spacesuit.
I'd like to point out
they've
that,
done brilliantly on
for
those.
who are wondering,
Not sure who was behind that.
gone through this,
SpaceX, the team they got for that, but yeah,
getting fairly
they do
close
look very
to launch,
cool.
Whether that has done anything to wear out the Falcon 9 or the Dragon, the answer is no.
Yes,
If
it's
you
a
can recall, the Falcon
modern
9's designed
fabric.
for at least 10 flights, and about time we get to a 10th flight,
It's
we'll
early
be
here.
doing testing to find that we probably got
Yeah, it's a
enough,
modern fabric
margin
thing, and
to
you got
continue keep flying.
are there still
So
like
this is the very
like
first
20
flight of the
layers
new
in there
first
as they
stage
were
and
on
new
the
second stage. So
original
we've
Apollo
not,
suits?
We haven't even gotten through the first
doubt
flight.
it.
And in all of our margin calculations, we also take into account the fact that we may scrub a launch. So even today's operation, where we have pressurized and we have stressed the vehicle a little bit, that's taken into account in our design and our qualification testing.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
The
How
other
many
good
times
thing
can
is
you
that the, most
fuel her up
stressing
and
part,
defuel her like that?
of the flight for,
That's got to
the
wear
Falcon
out
9
something.
on the first stage is the re-entry. So we
But
didn't even get through that. So we're sitting
he's
here on the
made
pad.
out they've got design
It's a fairly straightforward situation.
criteria for that,
and
so
not stressing
as you would.
on the Falcon 9 and on the Dragon spacecraft.
They got stress
with the
specs for
human
that.
rating factors to carry crew. There is enough factors of safety, margins of safety, redundancy that just having 2 people on board and closing the hatch and even pressurizing the propellant system does not even
yeah, they're
the
sitting on a
margins
bomb.
of
Offload
safety
continuing nominally, 30% on stage 1
So
launch,
right now
35%
everything's continuing to
stage 1
offload.
fuel.
The automatic sequences that we use routinely both at the launch sites.
Do believe they arm
Kennedy
don't they
Space
arm the
Center,
escape
Cape
system
Canaveral,
before they
even Vandenberg Air
just
Force
before they
Base,
start
as well as in our
fueling?
Texas test site for
Because I
first
think
and
the
second
escape
stage.
system's armed.
Those sequences are running. Propellant is coming off of the
So
vehicle.
if it did start blowing
per
up, they
plan.
could
And we see
push the red
Bob
button. And
Doug,
where is the big red
up
button?
in the,
I want
Dragon
to see a big red
spacecraft,
button there.
just waiting when we
not
can
there.
get up there, open the hatch, and help them egress and come on back.
Oh,
down
the
the
rocket's
tower.
blowing up. Hang on while I scroll
And the other
through
thought I had, Dan
the
and,
menus to
Jesse,
get to the
is,
abort option.
Right now we are
Yes, they do.
coming up on what would have been T0, and I'm
Yeah,
wondering
the
10
booster's
minutes from
reusable,
now
but still,
whether the weather officer would turn around and say, "Yes,
it's
it
gonna be stressing."
turned good. You just didn't have a long enough window. We only had 1 second, and we needed 10 minutes."
10
so
minutes.
We'll have to ask offline and say, "Hey, did the weather conditions improve?" And one thing I'll tag on to that Dan was mentioning and Jesse was talking about, the launch opportunities. The launch window
Oh,
does
it's the
move
big black
earlier
lever in
on
the center of the console. They
Saturday a
have to
little
turn
bit.
it. Okay.
So
Right.
it just
Get his-
happened to be
he's doing the
Orbital
hand thing
Dynamics
again.
said today, if you want to go to the International Space Station and you want to launch northeast, which is the approved trajectory, you have to go right at 4:35 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time.
Oh, you have to.
You pick another day, the T0 moves. It's
Right.
just luck of the
It's
draw.
that
We
tight.
might have been doing this at 8 in
Wow.
the morning when we were getting
Wow.
lightning, or we could have been doing it a few hours from
the
now when conditions may have been
Space station goes
acceptable.
around the Earth every 40
So,
minutes.
in the end, we can
don't-
all look at Isaac
Guess,
Newton and Johannes Kepler for orbital dynamics telling us when do we launch, and that stuck us right in the middle of a period of bad weather. So there's my science lesson for today, Dan and Jesse.
Appreciate that, John.
Yeah,
That'll
I-
soften the blow
I'd
of
love
just
to
moving past
see
that
someone actually
T-minus
explain
zero
that on the
time.
whiteboard. You
But
know,
for anybody, if you're just now tuning in, wondering why Falcon 9 is still sitting there on the pad, as
why
we
when the
move past
space,
that
you know,
T0, we did
the
have a scrub for weather
ISS
today.
comes
Just
back in
not
40
able to
minutes.
clear
Like,
all of those
why is it that
constraints. We
critical? And
keep
it takes
very
them a day to
close
get there
eye
anyway.
on the weather around the pad and
Like,
their whole
I
way
don't-
Dragon
uphill.
SpaceX for weather.
Don't kind of understand it. Wait 10
Right now,
minutes,
Bob
miss
and
the
Doug are
station
still
by
inside.
10,000
Go
miles.
ahead
Yeah,
for
but the
weather.
station comes around every 40
I just
minutes.
wanted to give you some more words on the scrub rationale.
Oh,
Yeah,
90,
so we
sorry.
basically
Yeah,
scrubbed
90.
due to three
90 minutes.
rules that we were violating. All three would have been expected to clear 10 minutes after our T0 time. And those three were natural lightning,
He's got
the
OCD.
fuse mills, and the attached anvil.
Oh, yeah, there's the abort handle. There it is there. You can see it. So they pull it, do they? To the pull, or is it a turn? Is it a pull
Yeah, we
and
copy,
turning, or
Jay.
is it
We
just a
appreciate
pull?
that update. We can
I
see
guess
some,
either of them can do
raindrops
that.
on the windows and just
I
figured
go.
that,
I'm sure one of them would be. It'd be
whatever
the
it was
commander,
was too
right?
close to
Would
the
be
launch
tasked
pad
with that.
at the time we needed it not to be. So we appreciate that. Understand that everybody's probably a little bit bummed out. It's just part of the deal. Everybody was ready today, and we appreciate that. And the ship was great, and we'll do it again.
Thumbs up.
I think on Saturday.
Copy all. And yeah, we concur. And appreciate your resilience sitting there in the vehicle for us.
We got the easy job.
Did anyone? I didn't see
Nothing
before.
better than
Does
being
anyone know
flying
if that's an
through on a new
iPad-y thing?
spaceship.
Is that? I assume that's just a regular pad, like a regular instruction. Good old paper, is it?
All right.
The
some
inclination of
great
the
words
station
from Bob
means
and
it
Doug
processes
there.
across the
Feeling good
sky,
inside Dragon that we ready to
across
go
the
when
face
we
of the
make
planet
our
with
next
every
attempt
orbit.
on
Yeah, I know it
Saturday.
does.
Right
It
now,
does
we're just
change.
still waiting for all of the fuel
But
to come
can't
off the
they
Falcon
just
9 rocket. After that,
reprogram the computer to just go an extra degree that way or something? Like, you know.
to that call right there, we're still
I
at a
don't-
little over 20%.
I still don't get it.
RP1 and LOX liquid
Oh
oxygen
no,
on the
like
first
I
stage,
do
and then
understand,
about
but I can't see
26%
why they
RP1
can't
on that
actually
second stage.
correct
So again,
for
it takes
is
about
what
40
I'm
minutes
saying,
once the process
and launch
starts.
10
So we
minutes
should
later,
have
or
right around
you know,
30 minutes or so until
90
all that
minutes
fuel's
later,
off, and
or
then
something.
the crew will get to go to disarm the launch escape system. We'll see that crew
There's
access
time
arm
yet
swing
to
back
see
into
that
place,
handle pulled.
and they
Everyone wants
can
to see
begin
that handle
egress
pulled.
or get out of the
Everyone
Dragon
wants to see
spacecraft.
that sucker blast off. You betcha.
And you heard it live
That'd be awesome.
that weather update of what we violated.
Scrubbing the mission anyway. Why not? Yeah, let's see that sucker lift.
But again, today was an
Those
instantaneous
rocket,
launch.
all the blast comes out of there.
As John explained,
and whooshka, away she goes.
The orbital mechanics and
what's
making
the
sure that at the time we launch, it will
the non-symmetry of that line
on time
is
and accurately.
It's not good.
So
why does that? Why is that
right screen, Bob and Doug
angled like that? Does anyone know?
They do still have their visors
I assume it's a nose cap that can come comes off. But
the launch escape system is
why is it not straight
armed right now as we are offloading fuel, and will not disarm until prop offload.
The window is a lot tighter because they need to fly at a different
safety
approach path. Therefore, they don't have a lot of wiggle room. Yeah, but why can't they just change their approach path? Why can't they reprogram? You know, they've got this gigantic rocket that can go in any direction.
Just a reminder today, this first attempt, we're going to be right back here, looking like on Saturday for attempt number 2. Launch America is not going anywhere.
I can't see why they have one window every 3 days.
Get this crew dragging up to the
space station. I know it's it's inclination and stuff changes.
If you're going to scrub, probably rather scrub for weather than an issue on either Falcon 9 or Dragon. And we weren't tracking any issues with the flight systems.
Worst case scenario, 90-degree inclination. If the ISS was in polar orbit, you'd only be able to launch directly into that orbit twice a day.
Great.
Yeah, okay, that's still twice a day.
So
it's better than once every 3 days.
As John said, always nice to have a little bit more practice.
Fuel, they don't have the fuel.
On Saturday.
What would this launch be if it wasn't even more exciting to try and launch today, and now we have to push it to Saturday?
I know it's massive amounts of energy, but I can't believe that the rocket would only have the potential energy to get to,
Dan and Jesse, another
just
thought
that one particular
mind while I'm watching the diagram here showing fuel.
Yeah, I know it takes a lot of delta V. I'm just surprised there's not enough juice in there to
10%.
To have more margin than that.
Just about off of first stage. Yep, we're getting the announcement. Stage 2 fuels at 20%. Stage 1 LOX is under 10%. So just continuing to come off of the vehicle as expected. On the monitor, Bob and Doug continue with visors down. Their launch escape system is armed, as we've mentioned.
I was watching a doco with the about the Delta rocket and how it had the ability to change in flight. It had the ability to change direction in flight to compensate for
we fired the Dragon capsule using
various
the
things.
Super Dracos off of the launch pad,
It
and it splashed down offshore in the Atlantic Ocean. So they're staying there with the system armed until all the hazards are essentially removed, and we bring the crew access arm around.
The airspace launch vector predetermined and screen clear with rescue boats. Yeah, okay. Right, if you had to retarget, you wouldn't have those assets in place. Yeah, that could be it, John. That could be it, because they can't move very quick. Yeah, you could be right there. A small change, even if the rocket had the capability, had the fuel to do it, a small change, throws your recovery window. Could be hundreds of k's away, and
if you're just
boats are
now
slow.
Tuning in, we did not launch today. We did have a scrub because of weather. But
I guess
as we were saying, we are looking forward to trying this again on Saturday. Our launch time on Saturday will be another instantaneous window, so we'll have to have the weather cooperate again.
I want the numbers. That's what I want. I want somebody to go through the whiteboard. We can't do it, or we could do it. I'm sure they can do it. Sure they can do it if they really wanted to. There's got to be some way to do it.
Dan, what I saw
I'd like to see someone go through the whiteboard calculations of. You should get like Everyday Astronaut or one of the space YouTubers to do it, do the calculations, the orbital mechanics.
Subtract that from 100% to go, hey, 60% chance. I'll plan my
go on a whiteboard. Like this is why they can't. Why they only have one window every 3 days or whatever.
Launch weather officer.
It's because it's a combination of fuel, which costs money. It's a combination of how much fuel we got on there. It's a combination of the recovery windows and locations and stuff like that. And I just want the numbers on it.
It's still bouncing around.
If it was assuming it was a 10-minute delay, I'd like to see one whiteboard calculator. Here's the normal one. Here's what happens with a 10-minute delay. Go through the numbers again. This is how I'd do it if I actually knew about this stuff. I'd get on the whiteboard now, and I'd do one column has here's all the the fuel we need and everything, and the window for the recovery and all that, and here's what happens if we delay it by 10 minutes.
To the space station, when we do the mission planning, it's an instantaneous
Here's what has to
window.
change.
There may be enough.
Yeah, no, sorry, yes, Tim Dodd, not everyday astronaut, but one of the other space YouTubers who really know their rocket mechanics.
But in the case of Falcon 9, once we start propellant load at T-minus,
I saw that Tim Dodd though. He's getting the exclusives. I haven't watched it, but I saw that he was at the center and he was talking to Elon. He got another exclusive with Elon and the flight director, I think. I don't know who the other person was.
Below a certain amount, so
and he was talking to him just before launch. It was like,
rocket,
wow,
how much margin
he's getting all the scoops.
So essentially, if you start the countdown, 4 hours,
someone make David
out
Kerbal.
like we're doing today, and you have a very short
I'll probably do
window.
another
Once you
stream
get
on
a
Saturday.
propellant
Oh, it's
loading
earlier.
T-minus
I've got to get
35
up
minutes,
earlier.
You have to go as soon as you get to 0. We don't have the ability to stop the countdown. Wait 5 minutes.
Yes, I've seen the sine waves.
Now all of a sudden the liquid oxygen starts warming up from 340
Yes, it needs to be matched with the sine wave of the Dragon. Yep, I'm
and
well aware of
changes
that,
how
but
much
I want the
performance,
calculations,
you get
damn
carrying
it.
into orbit.
I
And
want
we don't
somebody to
wanna
get
cut
on the
into those
whiteboard and do the
margins.
Here's what 10
Now, if we
minutes
had had
delay
something like a
does.
4-hour
Here's how
window
many
with
thousands
some,
of kilometers it
communication
shifts you
satellites
off,
have,
or whatever. Here's
we
how much
could
extra
actually
fuel
get
you need.
down to
Here's why
almost
we can't make it.
Hold the
With
count,
this, with
detank
the
Falcon 9,
Falcon 9
wait
rocket,
a
blah, blah,
while. It
blah.
takes us
That's
about an
what
hour
I
and
want
a
to
half.
know. Don't just
Reload
say you
a
can't
whole
do it
new batch of
because
cold liquid
this is
oxygen and
engineering
fuel
channel. I want
from
numbers,
the big
damn it.
storage tank that we've got there at pad 39A and try to launch again.
Yeah,
But in
Scott
that
Manley,
case, you have
definitely.
to be able
Yeah,
to launch,
Scott Manley would be the man
about
for that.
An hour and a half or so later
You're
after you
awake.
scrub. And in the case of the
Sure he
International
hasn't heard
Space
that before.
Station, an hour and a half from now, it's
I love the
nowhere near
voice,
where we
Scott
need to be,
Manley.
to
The real
get
deep
the
voice.
performance of the
It's
Falcon
great.
9 and the Dragon.
There's
So
so
today
many
it's a
space channels
combination. We
now.
start the
Oh
day with
man,
the
there's
second
so many
window,
to choose from.
Informing you it's
But
been
once
2
we
hours
get
There's an
to
Aussie guy doing one. I
35
forget his
minutes,
name.
So when
it
it
becomes
House.
an instantaneous
House,
window for the Falcon
yep.
9,
just for awareness,
regardless of
he's
what
got
the,
one.
customer may be able to give us.
And like there's,
So there's a little
if there's not a
explanation for folks who are
dozen
wondering
space
why we have
YouTube
such a
channels
tight
now,
window.
I
Right now, it looks like we are,
don't know how many like small ones there are.
fuel
but,
off the stage, and liquid oxygen is just
Yes,
about off the
that's
stage.
what I was thinking of.
things are,
Destin
clocking
Sandlin's
right along
Launch Alliance
for
tour.
the
Yeah, that was
40
very
timeline.
cool. If you haven't
Everything
seen
looks
it, watch
good, and
Destin
we'll wait
Sandlin
to,
Launch Alignment. I don't
hear
know.
that we're
Google
clear,
search,
and
but
then when we get the call for Bob and
YouTube
Doug
search, but
to go ahead and disarm launch escape system, and the crew access arm will watch come back out, center
Peter
itself around the
Popoff
Dragon hatch,
blew his
and then
ram's
the
horn.
Egress team will go up there and open the hatch.
Thank you for the science lesson, John I.
Hey, no charge.
Yeah, so if people
We
want to bombard,
We did hear a quick
People-
call to the crew there. We
Don't-
should be just under 10
don't want
minutes
to spam me,
away
but you know,
from
people
that
want to
prop
bombard
load, prop
Scott
offload
Manley.
completing.
because,
It looks like we're just
like I don't
tracking
know him, so it's not like I can
orbital
contact him.
one.
Hey, I'm a fellow YouTuber. Can you please do this?
And there
you know?
we
But I'd
have the
love to see the
confirmation. Stage 2
calculations. I
offload
really
is
would.
complete.
Of what
And we
happens,
should
they
have
were
now
10
just
minutes
the
away
RP1,
apparently.
so that
Why couldn't they delay? Why couldn't they? What would have been required to change that 10-minute window?
Should be under 10%, little under 10 minutes until that's off. And then we'll step through those events we were discussing.
Yeah, I
where
know
they'll
it'll
be able
put
to
you off
disarm
quite a
the launch
bit.
escape system, get the arm back
Yep,
out there.
I'd like to
Bob
see
and
the
Doug
calculations
can begin
too.
to exit the
Yep.
Dragon spacecraft.
Yep. I want to know how much. Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the orbital period, the space station, 90 minutes. If you have to delay by 10 minutes, then, you know, that's 1/9. That is a lot. So, it's probably
Still not the
thousands of
friendliest
kilometers
skies
put you on
in
the
the
other side of the
background.
country. How do you get your recovery team
That
there?
is Florida, though. The weather
That has
is
to do with the
constantly
propellant
changing over
combination
there, which is
used.
why we
Oh,
always have to
okay.
keep an eye on
They
it
basically have to
through
launch
every
immediately
single
once they
launch
have
that we
finished
out there.
fueling. Oh, okay.
Bob
They
and
can't.
Doug are
Oh, so
patiently
what? There's a
waiting. As
safety
you can
thing
see,
too. They can't
that
just leave it
is a
fueled up
live
for another
view
10
of them
minutes. Is that
on
it?
the Crew Dragon vehicle as they're waiting prop
That's
offload
interesting.
to complete. Second stage prop offload is complete. We are just
Yeah,
waiting
they are
on
chasing
first
a bullet.
stage
Yep.
to
Stage 1
complete.
box offload is complete. Waiting on stage 1.
Yeah,
fuel
I want to go
5
through.
minutes or so.
I want to see not just calculation, but all the everything. That's
again,
got
the
it.
launch
Somebody
escape
who's in the
system
know
is
about
still
all
armed.
of the system stuff.
We are waiting
that
for
has
a
to
prop
change for
offload
a
to complete
5-minute
before
delay,
they
a
disarm
10-minute
that,
delay, a 1-minute
and
delay.
they will be able to egress from the Crew Dragon vehicle.
And we just heard we should be just under 5 minutes away.
The
from
liquid
last of that
O2
fuel coming
also
out of the
becomes a
Falcon
hazard
9
if they
first
wait.
stage. And then we'll see those events start to pick back up, and we'll see the crew arm swing back out. They've been in those seats for a couple hours now. They typically get inside of Dragon a little over 2.5 hours ahead of launch. So they've been strapped into these seats for quite a while. They are custom sized though, so they're as comfortable and as snug as possible. Obviously, since they're going to be in them for a really long time.
Rich files.
But most importantly,
4,586 kilometers out of target for a 10-minute delay.
It's your car seat, and splashing down or landing on land
is
not
for
the most gentle of procedures in a capsule.
Is that the rockets out of target for the space station?
Really making sure that
or is that the
and
or the recovery?
But we should be a little under 5 minutes away from the prop offload being completed.
And as Dan mentioned, those suits are custom made.
It has to be in the sun during approach. Yeah, that all factors in.
Each astronaut as well. They do remain on.
It's a cryogenic tank, so you can't let it sit still. But there's also safety corridors, so if they have to abort, they have to wait 10 minutes. They'll be down
and make
before
sure
they
that
get picked up.
The suits and the seats are comfortable enough for them to stay in that position for a while.
I wonder if they could, like, how long can they actually delay? What would be the
allowed
maximum?
to,
That'd be another interesting thing.
Get out of their
could they
seats
delay a
and
minute?
get a little bit more comfortable, but
for example,
it's a long ride for them.
Yeah, once they do get on orbit,
I hope somebody does it.
Seats and actually out of their
somebody,
suits too,
everyone wants to. People ping Scott Manley
take them about 19 hours. So Bob and Doug will
I assume he's on
actually
Twitter. I think he's on Twitter.
About 8 hours to sleep on board the Dragon capsule. So we weren't able to launch today, though. The rendezvous.
Yeah, if they don't have to launch now, that's what they're doing.
To what we would have had if we launched.
Well, they're
today,
scrubbing because that's their rules,
it'll take them about 19 hours to get to the International Space Station. So they'll launch and they'll have a number.
How much would you pay for a trip on the Dragon? Oh man, life savings.
Piloting of Dragon. And just really putting
I wouldn't just want to go to space. I'd want to go to the moon.
If
I was going to pay, if I was going to use my life savings to go to the moon, to go to space, I'd want the moon
which will just be bringing up those long durations.
Thank you very much, the moon tour.
Maybe even a year-long missions.
Even if it's just to loop around, see the backside.
It should be a very exciting test flight because it's pretty much like an actual mission. When Bob and Doug get on the station, they will be performing some research.
I know
while they're
Jack
up there
all about
tests
the
and
orbital
doing some
dynamics.
final things for this demonstration mission.
It's counting.
Yeah.
No, what's he doing?
I mean, just for right now, we are just going to continue to stay with them until we see them come out of Dragon, because the launch escape system's still armed while we wait for this propellant offload to complete. That's just done as a safety measure. Anytime you have rocket propellants beneath you, you want to make sure that we have a good way for them to get out of the way. And so we should be within just a couple of minutes for that final bit of RP1 coming off the first stage. And then we'll hear the
10
crew
to 7.
Get the go.
All right, so I'm out of here in
disarm
20
that
minutes.
launch escape system. We'll see the crew access arm swing back in. But if you're just tuning
in,
they're
just sitting there.
Them to be
in
just
space, sitting there waiting.
We did have a scrub today due to weather. Our next launch attempt is going to be this Saturday, May 30th at 3:22 p.m. Eastern Time. And just like we did today, we're going to be bringing
cold
you
from
every
liquid
single
O2
step
affects
of
the
way.
engines. Yes, the old O-rings.
If you watched all of today's,
in the space shuttle.
Just as exciting.
You betcha. And
I could imagine it might even be more exciting with all the anticipation.
Feynman as well. They actually got in Richard Feynman to prove that the O-rings were to do a demo.
You know, the better
off we will
that
the O-rings were
hopefully next
crap, because he was part of the committee or something.
We will have a flawless launch and actually be able
back
to
of the napkin. Okay.
With good
Stephen
weather.
Steele's done some calcs. Back of the napkin calculations.
To watch.
Back of the fag packet calculations.
For our scrub.
20 to 30% more on the second stage, plus whatever they need for the first stage. Okay, fair enough. And that's just the fuel.
Violation. So as John and I was saying, the optimists in us have to say that's 60% good. So we're going to look.
Right. So that's totally ignoring also the
that's roughly what
the recovery
we were in
window.
the days
so
leading up to this. We won't have a rogue tropical storm forming off of South Carolina on us on
They delayed
Saturday,
for other
but
Falcons before for a couple of hours,
continue
but
to
not
track
fueled.
and
Okay,
hopefully get a good
right.
chance hit that window on Saturday.
And just
Right.
a reminder,
They delay for non-rendezvous
everything else
launches.
on the vehicle and for the
Of
mission
course,
was
just go
looking
to orbit.
good today.
Just go to
it
orbit.
was just the weather, which, as John Aya said earlier, and Lauren even referred to him mentioning this, weather is the one thing that we actually cannot control on our missions. So unfortunately, it did cause
Why can't
us
we
to
control the
scrub
weather?
today, but the healthy,
Hi,
the
Mum,
vehicles
I'm
are
live.
healthy. Bob and Doug were ready. And they should be ready to
Yeah,
go
they've been in there for
again at the
hours.
next
Does anyone know how
launch
many hours they've
attempt
been
on
in there?
Saturday.
It must be. Well, they've got a lot of checklists to go through, but now they're just, I think, they're just waiting. They've
Just
already,
looking at
once
our
they
data,
activate
it
the
looks like
procedure,
that
I'm sure it's all
RP1 is
automated.
just about all out. So we'll just kind of stand by for a few more moments.
Yeah,
Hopefully we
I'd
get
hate
that
to
call
travel
soon,
to
John
from
I.
Sydney to Florida and then
Yeah, I was
just
going
like to
to,
see a
while we're
launch and
waiting to
then
hear
just
the
have it
call,
scrubbed.
that
You'd
the,
have to
last
plan
percentage of
your
fuel is
trip for
off.
weeks. You know, you'd have
I
to
was
plan
gonna
like a
comment
couple of
on
weeks just
Jesse's,
so that you could
discussion
be
around it was
guaranteed a
just the
launch.
weather.
That's
I
why
think during
we've
this
actually
countdown,
missed it before.
there
We've
were
been in
more
Florida
words said
before
about the
and
weather
it
than
just it didn't
everything
happen.
else. I'm listening right now to a weather discussion in the background.
Lying bastards,
again,
half's
for
been
people
in operation for
wondering,
years.
If we knew that we did have bad weather, you know, even from this morning. Again,
Too
we
bad
do
the post
monitor
office
this all the
isn't
way
as efficient
down,
as the weather service.
all the way down to the final
I'll
minutes
pay
of the
that.
countdown. And with Florida weather being pretty sporadic, sometimes we have even hurricanes coming through
So
or
yes,
bad weather coming
I want
through.
Scott Manley or
and
somebody else
passing,
in the know
20 minutes later and
to,
having good
to
weather
run the
for a
caps.
launch. So this is why we
Ping him on
continue
Twitter.
to
I want
attempt to
my
launch today,
369
but
people watching
unfortunately,
now to ping him on
4T0
Twitter and he'll do it.
today, weather is
Dave
not
from
on our
EEV
side.
blog said do the whiteboard calculations on
Jesse, this is John
normal
again.
1
I
minute delay,
dropped off
5
to listen
minutes,
to
10
the
minutes
weather
delay.
discussion.
Here's all
They
the
were just giving
extra
the
fuel you
times,
need. Here's the
the,
extra. I'm sure he'll get out his
lightning
Kerbal
rule, went
space
green,
program
so we
as
could
well and
have,
simulate it.
gone
And, you know,
without a lightning
yep.
concern. The attached anvil rule cleared, but the field mill
Want to
rule
know.
is expected to clear at 58 minutes after the hour. So
ISS's
that's,
nodal precession is
another
also
4.5
22.5
minutes
degrees
from now.
east of the previous
So
position.
we were
Right.
close, but we needed about 25
Yeah, that's an additional
minutes,
2,500 kilometres eastward drift.
later launch
Station
time.
relative to launch side per
It
orbit.
does,
Yeah, okay, yeah, it's
remind
pretty.
me at risk
It's pretty
of,
extreme, isn't it?
offending some people, but
Yep.
the old saying that says it's better
That's
to
a
be
lot
on
of
the
precession
ground wishing you
per
were
orbit.
flying than flying wishing you were on the ground.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yes,
Yeah, I can
definitely.
see it.
Safety
Yeah.
first, always.
I
making
just
sure
want
that
to
when
I
Bob
just
and
want the
Doug
numbers
do
run
fly, they
now
are
that
flying
now that you say
safely
22.5
and
degrees.
as
Now I
planned.
can picture
So again, this is standard
the
procedure for
the
us to
sine
make
waves,
sure
as
that
somebody
they do
called
have
it.
a safe flight to the International Space Station.
They need to match up. So
All right, well, for now, we're just continuing to stand by, expecting the call that
Yep.
all
Want
of
the
that
caps.
prop has now been offloaded from Falcon 9.
so is anyone pinging him on Twitter right now?
Nominal TPC set points for Egress.
At this moment, the launch escape system still armed. Once the prop offload is complete, that'll be the next step in our procedures to have Bob and Doug begin to make their way out of Dragon.
LD, countdown 1. LD. We have the prompt here for nominal crew egress.
Nominal crew
Okay,
egress.
so ready for launch escape system disarm. As affirmed,
Yep, they're
ready
gonna
for
disarm.
launch escape disarm.
Right. Launch escape disarm.
Copies. You guys are ready. We'll.
Yeah, launch team's ready. Go ahead and advise the crew.
Yeah, advise the crew.
Hey, Dragon
Tell 'em to disarm.
SpaceX, you copy that discussion. So with that, you are go for disarming launch escape system per section 2 of 5.100.
5.1.00.
Disarming the launch escape system.
Here we go. It's disarming launch
All right,
escape
that was
system.
the call we were waiting for, propelling off of Falcon 9. So Doug Hurley, Bob Ankin now going to disarm the launch escape system on Dragon. And once that's disarmed, those
Drag
8
the window
Super
up there.
Draco engines will be out of the mix.
SpaceX Dragon launch escape system has been disarmed into Alpha Decimal 3.
Copy that. We can.
It's disarmed. No launchy today, either rocket or the
launch escape system
Super
has
Draco
been
thrusters.
And Dragon SpaceX, with that confirmation, you are
Damn
to
it.
open your visors and proceed to Section 3.
Open visors.
Okay, we'll open the visors and go to Section 3.
As you heard and you can see, Bob and Doug can now open their visors.
Is that an O-ring?
And get ready for
How does
exiting the vehicle.
How does the seal work?
Again, they kept their visors on while the launch escape system was armed, while prop offloading was continuing. And that is just to make sure that they are safe. Now that there is no more
Straps off
on
bomber.
any of the vehicles, they are safe to
No going to Spacey today.
the launch escape system and now are getting ready for that crew arm.
Which plugins am I using to show the usernames? In blue, I'm using the
SpaceX Dragon with an update. We're
XSplit
holding in 3.4.
XSplit YouTube live chat viewer. It's a plugin
Copy
that comes with
we'll wait for the closeout team
XSplit.
to open the hatch and verify clearance.
I've also got a. Sorry if anyone's super chatting. I've also got a super chat plugin, but it didn't. I can go add YouTube widgets, super chat, alert.
And there's
What's
that
YouTube
crew arm
alerts?
swinging back towards Dragon. Once
What's
that crew arm
YouTube
is in
alerts? I
place,
don't know what
they will be
YouTube
able
alerts is.
to open the hatch on Crew Dragon.
I can't read that text down there.
Bob and Doug's seats will rotate back out of launch
I
position
can add source.
so that they can safely get out of their
Adding
seats and
super
egress
chat
the
alert.
vehicle.
Which is not yet authorized. Okay.
And we
I've got
heard
to-
they'll have
Right.
what they call nominal egress, so just the normal procedures for getting them out of the capsule. That means the
Right-click to
the
log
same
in.
closeout team that was there to get them in will be able to assist as they come out. They'll arrive and get that hatch open, and then they'll be able to rotate the seats. That'll rotate Bob and Doug pretty much
Yeah, so I
forward,
do have a super
where
chat thing
they'll
that'll
be,
pop up.
into the original position
Super chats.
that the seats were configured when they made their way into Dragon. It just gets them a little bit out and under the displays and makes getting in and out of the capsule a little bit easier.
Rocket
They've been in those
Man.
seats for about 3 hours at this point, so definitely a long day for the crew. As they woke up about 6 hours prior to our T-0, had their breakfast, which we confirmed was steak and eggs, at least for Doug Hurley. And then they proceeded through all of the suit up and the trip to the pad, making their way inside Dragon, where they've been for about the last 3 hours.
Is Australia
at
on the
this point.
ISS?
We were on
No.
track for an on-time liftoff. Right
Technically,
at
we
4:33
did
p.m.
have
Eastern time.
an
but they'd have to
Aussie,
scrabble it
Dr.
under
Andy
17
Thomas. I've
minutes
met him.
before launch due to weather. So for now,
He's
we've offloaded all
he's an
of the
Australian,
propellant
but he
off of
became an
Falcon
American
9.
citizen,
The
so
launch
he could
escape
become a
system has
NASA
been
astronaut. So
disarmed. The crew
technically, he
access
was the
arm is
first
back
Australian in
right
space.
up
I don't
next
think
to
we've had
Dragon,
another
as
one,
you
have
can
we?
see in that view on the left.
Don't
Pretty
know.
soon we'll see the
Anyway.
teams arrive to get the hatch open.
Andy
get Bob and
Thomas,
Doug
he's
out.
old
They'll
now.
make
I've
their
got a
way
video
back
up
to
on my
crew
second
quarters
channel.
and their quarantine.
No,
It
on
is
my
important to
EV
note
Discover channel.
that
Andy
throughout
Thomas
the
giving a
entire
talk in
process
Canberra.
of them getting into Dragon, suiting up all of
that
those
I went
different
to,
steps,
and,
they maintain
yeah,
that
I
same
met him after the talk.
quarantine that they've been
He's
in
old.
since for about 2 weeks now,
yeah.
and that is specifically for events like today, where we have to scrub and just go to another day. So we don't want to break that quarantine once we're putting them into that launch vehicle.
3 days.
And
Next
that's
schedule,
a
I think.
standard quarantine
Saturday,
that we have for
Yankee
any crew
time,
members
which is
flying to
Sunday
the
here,
International
which means
Space
I'd
Station.
probably have to get up Sunday
The current
morning, early Sunday
COVID-19
morning.
pandemic obviously puts a little bit of extra pressure and a little bit of an extra spotlight on that, but they're following a lot of the
Andy
same
is cool.
procedures that
Yep.
we have in place just to keep crew members healthy before they go and spend several months in space in an enclosed environment with just a couple of other people.
Right, and it's a little bit more difficult to get them
Yeah,
help on the
I gotta,
space
as I
station,
said,
right?
I gotta
So we wanna
go.
make sure that they, when they
sun's out.
do
Oh, Jesus!
head
Oh,
up to
it's
the
a
space
pea
station, that
super
they
outside.
are fully healthy. So this is,
Wow.
again, is standard procedure.
Wow, I usually
not
don't
just
get up
because
this
of
early.
this pandemic that's going on. This
Not
is a
an early
standard
morning
procedure
person unless
for
I'm like
astronauts to quarantine
going to do
prior
canyoning or
to
some
heading
other
to the
adventure stuff
station.
where we have to start early. I'm usually a stay up late
And
kind
as
of guy.
Dan mentioned,
I stay up
this
to
is
2
a standard
a.m.
procedure
get
to
bed at
exit
2
the
a.m.
vehicle as well. We did scrub today, but this is not an emergency state. This is standard procedure.
Bummer.
This is something that is practiced
Yeah, so I gotta go
and
take the
made
kids to
sure
school.
that we do
Unfortunately,
follow our standard
I'm
procedures.
still
to
killing
make sure
time
that
because I don't want to
everything is
I
still
should go
safe.
back
Bob and Doug
and,
exit
and help
safely
get them ready.
and go back into quarantine and get ready for
Well,
our
I
next launch attempt.
will be. I've got to go.
Looks like they're getting a
Don't
chance to
just go
stretch
pick
their
'em up.
legs, though.
Yeah.
Dan,
Because the wife's working from home today,
monitoring
so
along in the scrub procedure
well, she always
right
works
now.
from home now,
They're
and
getting the goes to
she's
get
supposed to
the
be
folks
working, so
back to
I'm
the
supposed to be
pad,
getting them ready
the
for
crew that'll
school
open
on
the hatch.
Thursdays.
So they have notified the team chief,
They're gonna
launch
take him to
engineering,
school.
to return to the pad. As a reminder,
She's probably watching the feed,
around the pad,
going, "Get home, you lazy
Air Force
bastard."
sets up, Air Force and NASA set up roadblocks to make
The
sure
thing's
nobody
finished,
gets
it's over,
into the
get
hazard
home.
area. So they will head to the roadblocks.
Nah,
They'll
she
pull
doesn't
them
watch my
open
stuff.
so that they can drive to the pad. So
As long as it brings in
launch
the money,
director,
she doesn't
I think,
care.
is estimating it's still about 15 minutes for the crew to drive all
As long
the
as
way
it
down.
keeps paying the bills.
Out to 39A, get up the
Greetings
tower,
from Serbia,
and then begin
land of Nikola
operations on
Tesla.
the hatch.
Oh, we got a Tesla fanboy,
They
have we?
confirmed that the purge of
We know what
the
that
Dragon
means.
service section, which is nitrogen during the countdown.
They'll get fined for not social
avoid,
distancing as soon as they get out.
That is back on air now.
Yep.
The crew access arm is on air, so they're ready for the Egress team to get up into the tower.
3 days would
But
be
it's gonna take
Saturday.
them a
Yeah, I
little
think.
bit still,
Yeah,
I
they
think,
said
to,
Saturday
drive
before.
down the road
I
in the
believe
vehicles
they
and
said
go
like
up the
earlier, so I
elevator.
assumed like a couple of
But
hours
everything
earlier maybe, which
continuing to
might mean
run
like
for
3:30 a.m.
a
I've got to get
normal
up.
scrub countdown, which we have had the opportunity to practice with the crew.
See you whacked.
In, for example, the dry dress rehearsal last Saturday, after we had done the
Shoot up my
static fire with Falcon 9
Lego
the day
rocket.
before.
Still standing. The Lego. I did have it. I did drop it once
I've been
on
seeing
a
few
live on a
questions,
private
people
live
asking,
feed.
Why aren't we just trying
I was actually
to
with
launch tomorrow?
Thunderfoot on
Because John, I was
a
talking us
private
through, there's
live
some very specific times
feed,
you have to identify
and
when you're going to be able to
I'm
link up
showing
with
him
the
my Saturn
International Space
V
Station. You'll
rockets
only have
because
so
he's
much
into
fuel, which can only
he's
generate so
into
much
rockets
energy
and
to make sure you're going to
models and
intersect
stuff
with
like
the
that. I was
station,
showing him
which
and
is
I was
flying at over
handling it.
17,000 miles an
No,
hour.
just
So you're
toppled
hitting
off.
one bullet with another bullet.
Had to do a bit of rebuilding. It's all right. It's actually pretty robust when it drops.
To prevent us from losing comms, we're going to be switching to umbilical at this time.
Oh boy!
I'm going
So
to
there's
be on
footage of
emergency
that
countdown
somewhere,
1, but
somewhere
we'll
on
keep you
the
updated here on
hidden
Dragon.
away on the interwebs.
Okay, yeah, we see the Egress countdown with a little over 3 minutes. We'll stand by for your next
No
call
big
on
da-boom
umbilical.
today.
Copy.
Yeah, we're talking about that, Johnny.
crew getting a call, they're
We
just
want
gonna
someone,
reconfigure some
preferably
communications.
Scott Manley,
But as
because
to
of the
why we're
voice,
not launching,
to go through
say,
the
tomorrow,
calculations
Countdown
of
1,
what
sir.
a 1 minute delay means, what a 5 minute, what a 10-minute delay means, because they were anticipating that
But
it
when
would
we
have been
pick our
clear
launch
in 10
attempts,
minutes.
We also have to take in mind some of the human
but,
factors of these.
why is
attempts.
that,
Some of these
there's
other
a
launch
flappy
attempts
panel
may
there,
exist,
look at
but
that.
It would require Dragon taking in
Flappy
excess
panel,
of
is that just the
30
wind?
or more hours
Flapping that?
potentially
That's
to
just a
reach the
fabric
station,
cover or something,
which
is
could
it?
wreak some havoc with the
What's
sleep
that?
shift
Oh, is that the
cycles, not
was
only
that the
for Bob
port
and
for
Doug,
the
but also
electrical
for the crew on
no, the
board
umbilical's
station
still
that has
attached.
to line up their sleep schedule with
So-
Bob and Doug as they arrive. And the crews on station and Bob and Doug will be operating off of Greenwich Mean Time once they get there.
Dragon SpaceX comm check.
Just reminds me of the
SpaceX
Apollo
Dragon
11
Lab,
movie. If you haven't seen that, I flew to Melbourne,
Copy. Heavy
especially to watch that on the IMAX.
Still getting
Mind
good
blowing.
comm between
Mind
the
blowing.
crew and the core here in Hawthorne. But really just
Found
to
all
sum
that
it up, we
original
pick our launch
60,
attempts for a number
is
of
it
reasons,
65 millimeter
not
footage,
just,
and
can we
they
make it to the station,
scan
but just how
converted
long
it
is
to
it
like
gonna take to
8K,
get there. And that's
and
why Saturday is going to be
stunning.
our best option. We're going to be targeting that
Looks like it
one
was
at
shot yesterday.
3:22 p.m.
Apollo
Eastern
11 is
time
amazing.
for our next attempt, and it'll be a little over 19, maybe a little over 20 hours until we actually arrive at the space station, if we're able to get off the ground on Saturday.
This is the part where they secretly get them off, like in Capricorn 1. They secretly whisk them out of the
And this
capsule
gives
and
Bob and Doug
take
you
them
know,
to
a few
Area
days
51
to kind of shake
and
off
they
the
pretend
nerves
to go.
from today's launch attempt. Give
I
them some,
love Capricorn
some more
1.
time
It's
to
great.
rest, and again get ready for our launch attempt on Saturday.
Now you can see why the top cap isn't horizontal. No, I still don't see it. Still don't know why it's not horizontal. Oh, is that because, right, because of the, right, all the
And
the
if you're
black
just now joining us, we did scrub
the black
our
surround over
demonstration
here.
2
If it was
mission
horizontal,
today.
it'd be.
And as John mentioned, we are waiting for the Egress team
Still
to
not
make
really
it
seeing
back
it.
to the launch pad.
The Egress team's got to get out there, probably hauling ass in their Tesla. I want Elon. I want Elon to personally drive them in the Tesla crew transport vehicle to the to the ship. That'd be awesome. Elon should personally drive them. But with all the stupid COVID, he'd have to be in there for weeks. Am I getting a bit George Clooney-ish in the sides? Yeah, probably. But it's the light. It's the light. I've got my...
Yeah, the closeout team has arrived at the pad, and
See?
they are proceeding
it's the light.
to the White Room.
Oh, it's also because it's a bit thin. That's actually my skin under there.
You heard that call out?
It's like, yeah, if you get the light right, I look totally grey. Yet in real life, I've got some grey, but you know, I mean, it's
where they can open the hatch and help
get in the right light.
The
I can make myself look totally grey. It's scary because the
We'll
grey
continue
reflects
to stick with Bob and Doug until we see that hatch get
reflects
open,
it. So
and
you
then
only
start to
need
make
like
their way
5%
out.
grey in it, and it just
They're
reflects
going
everything,
to-
and it makes you look really
and
bad.
there we can get some views once more back at the pad. You can
There's
see
the,
that Egress
there's
team
the crew.
moving back in. They were wearing the
Egress
black
team.
clean suits that we saw as they were
Yeah, why are they wearing
helping
black
Bob and Doug
suits?
get into the Dragon
It's a
just
bit
several
morbid.
hours ago. They're now going to get on the elevator, make their way
Can't
back
they have like a
up,
hot
down the
pink or
crew
something,
access arm, and then
tie-dyed?
We'll get that Dragon side hatch opened.
Why does it have to be black? Does anyone know?
And as we
Why
saw
they have to have
earlier,
black
this
suits?
is a very tall
Crew support
structure,
suits?
but that
Oh yeah,
elevator's
there's like a
pretty
photo.
quick
If you look
there.
on
So
Twitter, is
we
it
saw them
SpaceX
enter
and
the
NASA
bottom of
Twitter?
the
They showed a
tower.
photo just
It
before
should
launch
be a
of
very
the,
short
the
time
crew
before they
standing
make it to the
behind there
top
with
and
all their
are
black
able
suits
to
in their arms.
Get to the White Room and
It just
open the
looked
hatch for Bob and Doug.
looked quite morbid. Hello from Spain. Don't say that. He'll do it once he's allowed to, if he hears that. Yeah, he should drive him personally. Awesome. Why not? Screw the social distancing. Let's get Elon to drive him.
If you want.
Why are there a bunch of skeptics
It should just be a
doing
few
in
more
the
moments. We'll
doing
see
in the
that
chat? I think
closeout
everyone's
team
taking the piss. Most
make
of my
their way
audience
back
aren't
into the crew access arm and
you
down
know,
the hatchway.
flat earthers.
And again, if you are
Or,
just now tuning in,
you know,
we did have that
moon
scrub
landing
just about
conspiracy
a little
theorists.
under 17
There's very
minutes
few.
before launch. Our next launch attempt is going to be this Saturday, May 30th.
Yeah.
At launch
Bring
time.
back the Corvette
It's gonna be another
convertibles.
instantaneous launch
Tesla will be a
time.
disappointment.
It's going to be
Yeah,
3:22
true.
p.m. Eastern
They
time
need a drop
over
top.
there
They need
in
a like
Florida.
Tesla Roadsters. But they don't make the Roadster anymore, do they?
I'm
That's
assuming an
like,
on-time launch.
pretty
It'll
sure that's
be
out of production, right?
Pretty similar flight that we were
Orange
looking at today,
spaceships
where
from
it'll
Space
be roughly about
1999.
19 hours before they make that initial
Black suits for the
contact
fat
to the
guys.
International Space Station. They'll get on orbit and
Oh, boy.
execute a series of 5 different burns to gradually raise their orbit until they're just a few hundred meters below the station and maybe a few kilometers behind, and then they'll do
Oh, well,
all the final
that was-
approach initiation maneuvers. And
That was boring.
By that point,
Scrub,
the
look,
team
it's
here in
looking
Hawthorne
clear
will be
now.
working very closely with the
Oh,
team
more
down
cars
in
coming out.
Houston in the International Space Station Flight Control
More cars
Room.
driving out.
Weather for Saturday still not ideal, but it's roughly what we started out with today, where
Roughly
we have
the
about
same
a
weather on
40%
Saturday.
chance,
Great.
possibility of violation.
Get up at 3:30 a.m.
It'll be
and
tracking
I'll
a lot
have
of the
to
same
scrub it again.
issues, with cumulus
Anyway,
clouds
I better
and
go.
potential
I'm going to take the
precipitation.
kids to
We'll
school.
also be keeping
Thanks
an eye
everyone
on
for
all of
joining
the
me.
downrange
We had
weather.
300 and something. I don't know
Looks
why
like
you're
we're
watching
seeing
me
some
instead of
people
like
start
actually
to make their
watching
way
the
into the crew
watching the
access
real
arm now,
thing.
so we should see them get that Dragon side hatch open
Anyway,
in just a few minutes.
I think there's like
But as a
800,000
reminder,
people
we'll
or
be
something
looking at
watching the
weather around
YouTube's
the launch
live, or
pad
there's
and
800,000 on
weather
each of the
downrange in their flight path on the way to orbit.
SpaceX channel
and, that's
and
always
the
checked just in case they have to do any
and
kind
the
of
NASA
emergency
channel. I believe
maneuver
both
and
streams are
land
the
down in
same.
the
They're
Atlantic
identical. I
Ocean.
checked them before.
We'll be making
They were
sure that the
identical.
weather
Here they
is at
come.
acceptable levels all the way until they're
Here they
into
come.
space. So
Come the morbid black dudes.
You can see the team coming down now. Should see the hatch open momentarily.
Oh.
Then we can begin to
Wait
get
for the
Bob
hatch.
and Doug.
What's he got? He's
out
got
of
his
the
can of
Dragon
lube.
spacecraft.
What's he got? What does that do? He's checking for fuel. That's fuel leaks. He's checking for fuel leaks. He's checking that it's there's
and
no
again, we are staying live until
no hazardous
Bob
chemicals
and
there.
Doug are
Number
safely
8.
out of Crew Dragon.
Yeah,
You
they're
can see on your
morbid.
left-hand screen
Change the colour of the damn
the
suits.
team
Number
getting
5's
ready
got his harness on.
to open the hatch for
Doesn't
them
want to fall off the
and help them out of their
gangway, but
seats.
it's great looking gangway. Real futuristic looking. You know, you can picture having
And at this
paying
point, the
passengers
launch
going down
escape
that,
system
and that's the idea.
Has been
right?
disarmed. That was done after we successfully offloaded all of the propellants.
Disarmed.
From
There's
the
got to be another
first
camera view
and
of the
second
actual
stage
hatch.
of
Come
the
on.
Falcon 9 rocket. There are propellants loaded into Dragon.
We'll wait a
so
couple
the
of more
teams
minutes.
Looked like they were just doing what we call kind of a sniff test. So
Yep.
using a portable detector just to assess the atmosphere around the Dragon
Yep.
capsule itself before
That
they
was
get
obvious.
the hatch open and bring Bob and Doug out.
Number 19. Imagine putting that on your resume. I was number 19 black dude for SpaceX.
All of this is standard safety procedures for egressing the vehicle. This
Yeah,
is to
just in case
ensure
the arm
the
swings
safety
away, you never
of
know
the
what goes wrong. You've
crew,
got to have the harness.
as well as Bob and Doug.
Dragon SpaceX for status.
There we go. View of the hatch. Oh yeah, because there's
the
a big
closeout
gap
team is
there.
at the White Room.
Like there's
They
gaps
are
on the side.
configuring, the crew arm for egress, expected to take no earlier than 10 minutes.
Okay, 10 minutes. Thank you.
Oh, 10 minutes. 10 minutes for egress. Where's the handle on
Should
the
be
outside?
Just about 10 minutes. As a
They have to
reminder,
push
during
that
the
panel
White
in?
Room, we
They have
walked
to
through
unscrew
that
it?
a little bit earlier in our coverage this morning.
Have they got explosive bolts?
The White Room name simply because of its color, and that's something that started all the way back during earlier Gemini missions, and that is literally the last place on planet Earth where astronauts are standing before they get loaded into this vehicle. It has an environmental control apparatus and a seal that it can put right up against the Dragon spacecraft just to keep all of that dust, dirt, and Florida humidity
And Dragon
out of the
SpaceX,
capsule.
we're right at 3 hours in seat rotation. I just wanted to check in with you on comfort levels.
Comfort.
I'd say no changes, Jay. It hasn't been too bad at all.
1.5 million watching NASA stream. Wow.
And obviously at this point, with the launch escape system disarmed, we have loosened up straps and gotten our feet out of the straps on the bottom of the seat, so it's a little more comfortable anyway.
Black and white. It's how they know the
Copy,
difference.
looks comfortable.
They don't put the wrong guys in the capsule. But it's like, yeah, like, come on, some like 1960s tie-dyed or something, you know? Something really funky. I mean, black. No. No, no, no. Who was in, did Elon pick that?
Right now, the closeout team just going to take a couple of minutes to configure the White Room. They'll set up a seal between
Black
it
Dude
and
19 for
the Dragon
SpaceX is very
spacecraft
different
just to make
resume
sure
than Black Dude number
we're not
5
letting
for
anything from the
Piper?
surrounding environment get into that
Okay, I don't get that.
spacecraft, which is
That's a
kept
whoosh.
very pristine, obviously, for the crew members once they're inside. They have a small bridge that just connects the crew arm to the capsule itself. Just making sure they have a nice clear path for their entrance and exit from the spacecraft. So it should just be a few more minutes. We'll see that hatch get opened, and then our crew members
Few
can
more
start
minutes.
to make their
I
way
can't
out.
wait. I
And you
gotta
heard
go.
seat rotation.
I better go home
They
and take the
rotate
kids to
seats
school.
prior
All right.
to their actual flight
You
to where
farted.
they're a little bit more parallel to the ground.
Nice.
And that
All
just
right.
puts them
Thanks,
directly
everyone,
in front of
for
those
joining me.
displays. We'll see them
Instead
rotate
of
down, just giving them
watching
easy
some other
access to get out of the capsule.
YouTuber who knows what they're talking about, space YouTuber know what they're talking about doing their live stream. Lots of competition.
And as Dan mentioned, we
Anyway,
want to
all right.
keep FOD
Thanks, guys.
out of the capsule.
Catch you next time. It's a
Um,
bummer.
FOD is foreign object debris,
Major
so that's
bummer.
basically
Major
anything
bummer,
that
sir.
does not belong inside
right.
of the vehicle. So not just like dirt and dust, but just
And how do I shut this
anything
thing down?
that was not
See ya.
meant to be inside of there.